This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Go on. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Good.
How are you, Frank? What's been anything happening this week to you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I went to a football match.
Oh, yeah.
I was coming back and...
You were coming back?
I was coming back in the car.
Oh, it's coming back.
And I've been doing television for 34 years. And I had about 10 texts saying, I've just seen you on television. And I thought, is it that rare now? They have to catch me in a crowd looking awful. Is that
baseball cap?
Baseball, but that was my... You know, last week I talked about the disguise cap that celebrities have.
I noticed
I
this,
devoted probably 27 minutes to Googling the logo on your cap.
Oh.
Because I couldn't see it. And it looked like it said Hutch Oak. And I thought, oh, is that in Oklahoma? I couldn't see what it said.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I got it free, of course, because I haven't bought any clothing since the fifth year. In fact, I didn't buy any in the fifth year. My parents bought. In fact, my parents basically handed the buying me clothes baton over to the BBC and ITV, and they bought me clothes for the rest of my life. Nevertheless, what was the question? Oh, yes. So it says, yes, it's you know This Country, the popular sitcom.
I love This Country.
With Daisy and Charlie Cooper. Well, they've made an American version, and that was part of the merch, was that cap. So I wasn't paid to wear it, but it's in the house. So I put that on. It was working well. I think me and Dave were there. No one recognised us. And then Stan Collymore spotted us, and he came over and took, because he doesn't wear a cap, because if anyone shoved him about, he'd rip their ears off. And remember when he said to Vanilla Ice in the farm, do you want to go outside? Come on. You want to go outside? It's fantastic.
Was he offering to do some extra farming?
I think he was going to plough him. I
wish Vanilla Ice had responded by saying stop, collaborate and listen.
And I think wasn't Vanilla Ice once hung from his ankles by Suge Knight, the hip-hop producer, from a sort of 10th story balcony in a discussion about rights. I think we'd...
Wow. I don't know, but
poor
the fact
Vanilla
that you
Ice.
know that gives me such immense joy.
Oh, well, anyway, so...
Yeah.
So, yes, that was the
rights,
cap.
baby.
I absolutely loved it. I have to say, I don't look good in a baseball cap. Me and Dave, I thought, when someone was sending me screen grabs, you know, you've been on telly, screen grabs, and we looked terrible. I mean... If there's another Friends reunion in 2051, that's what it will look like. I mean, oh my goodness, I just thought, look at that. Albeit that quite a slight element of, you know, when Simon and Garfunkel did those things in Hyde Park. Bit of that. Oh, yeah. Anyway, you know, it wasn't about us.
I was very excited. I sent Frank and David a video, because I was watching it with the Rosses, my friends, and Jane and Jonathan, and I said, oh my God, they're on telly. So I videoed it, and then I scanned round to Jonathan's reaction, which was what, Frank?
It just him shrugging in a kind of a what? But it was good. It was a lovely antidote, because humility is so important in this business. And that, you know, it was one of those nights. It was a weird night, and then there was Jonathan Ross looking indifferent, and we need a bit of that.
Yes.
Apparently, the great pashas and sultans used to have a man whose job was purely to say to them every day, and one day you shall die. And they, that was his job. Yeah. Oh. Stan Collymore still doing it to all sorts of people.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Well, Gary McCall says every single time I cry when I hear Three Lions, and so say all of us. It is the greatest football anthem of all time. 55 years of hurt. Our time is now. Apparently, I shouldn't join in. I'm Scottish, but I am, and I will, because I'm 100% backing England. I felt I should read that out.
That is.
I also identify as Scottish, being born in Glasgow, but I am.
You
I too am
identify.
delighted. I too am
enjoyed
delighted
that.
for England and love Three Lions. So there you go.
Oh,
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Graham
Yes.
Souness.
I thought you identify as Yorkshire.
well, I think but I think it's okay now because I think all the Scottish and Welsh and Irish listeners they went about 10 minutes ago from the show. So no, I understand that. Come back next week if there's any of you still left. And,
398 has texted cha-ching, which I think is yet again a reference to you
Oh,
playing
for
your own
goodness
song.
But the people from the rest of the British Isles who've switched off now, if we lose, they'll be here next week. Don't worry about that. Oh man, their alarms will be going off at 5 to 8.
We'll
I
get an
imagine the
email.
alarm would be. Oh, you know.
Frank,
I have a question about the phrase "it's coming home."
Hold on, this is
phrase.
just a sec. Scotsman's alarm going off at 5 to 8 next
Oh,
week
yeah.
if we lose. Here we go. I was at that time already. Oh, they lost. Skinner's on the radio. I can't wait for this. The Sassenach. Bit of drama there on. What's one thing missing from Absolute Radio? There are no dramas or stuff on
I think
it.
they're working on that.
Yeah, it should be. Sorry, Al, I interrupted you, but I already had my finger on the jingle button, and you know what that's like on a Saturday morning.
Oh yeah. I know when
can't do the show anymore.
I know when somebody's got a comedy bullet in the chamber.
Or you can feel it. Like, that's because you know the game.
Can't not squeeze the trigger there.
They don't all know the game, Al, but you know the game.
Anyway, I have quite a humdrum question because the phrase "it's coming home" is now everywhere, isn't it? Like it was even on some colouring in that my daughter brought back from school
Really?
the other day.
Blimey.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And I mean, I know this is obvious, but it did start with the song, didn't it? The phrase "it's coming
Yes,
home."
I'll tell you what about. Originally it was this marketing thing. Football comes home that was the marketing thing for Euro '96, and we kind of liked it, but didn't think they'd got it quite right. But when me and Dave wrote the lyric originally, we wrote "It's coming home, it's coming home," and I can't remember what, but we didn't want to use the word football. So it was, it's coming home, it's very much coming home. I don't know what it was we said, but it was just it. And then Ian Brodie said, I think you should mention football. And that's how it became football's coming. So for us, it was just it's coming home, but he did the clever bit. You know, he knows his
Good
stuff.
to know that. I mean, until then, the phrase "it's coming home" had only really been used on television when homing pigeon tournaments were televised back then.
Well,
Remember that?
my next door neighbour whose wife put the alarm clock half full with urine on our kitchen
Oh,
table.
that.
Oh, yeah.
He took my dad's homing pigeons to release them so that they would come back just to get them used to it, and we never ever saw any of them again. And my dad went to his grave saying that he'd sold those pigeons. They never got the chance. It's quite hard to steal homing pigeons.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
You have to keep them chained.
I feel there's been karmic recompense that you've made a song called "It's Coming Home."
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah. I like to think, though, Al, you're quite right. I like to think that pigeon fanciers across the greatest of all descriptions, pigeon fanciers have embraced it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Matt has been in touch on the Twitter
Welcome.
to say this. Surely Sir Frank, Sir David and Sir Lightning Seeds is way overdue.
I would love. It's about time they gave a band an honour. isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you go into music as an individual, like Cliff Richard, then you're liable to become Sir Cliff Richard. But the Shadows would have thought, well, we were there with him. Why not Sir Shadows?
So Shadows, fair enough.
I think that they should think about that at the...
What about Sir Fall? Oh, that would have been good.
But too late now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, I was bringing the mood down, everyone.
Yeah. What about Dame Atomic Kitten? Oh, that would be... that's such a good idea. Oh, man, I've had so many good ideas on this show over the years. If you was to put them all in a list, we could change the world.
Often for other people, aren't they? They're often little tweaks for other people.
Exactly. But the Queen, I was trying to help the Queen. It is true that there's nothing less about being in a band than there is about being an individual. You just choose. In fact, it's a marvellous example of community that should be celebrated by the honours list.
We've also had a missive...
Queen could be awkward. Dame Queen.
Yeah.
I mean, she wouldn't like that.
Dame
would she?
the Queen. That
Dame
sounds
Queen.
like
Right.
every friend my parents ever had. We've also had a missive from Shaky 100. I don't think it's
No, it won't
Sir
be.
Shaky.
It
Sir
won't be.
Stevens.
He's Welsh. He'll be
Oh, okay.
furious.
Yeah. He will be listening.
Shaky 100.
I think he's still in lockdown. Shaking
Right.
Stevens.
Sir Stevens. Oh.
He's behind the green.
Oh.
Behind the green door.
He says, I saw you on the last leg last night. We've had a lot of people in saying this. And then he's, this is an interesting contribution. Can you ask David where he got his shoes from, please? They were great.
David was wearing some Cross of St George suede slip-ons that I think he was sent in 1996. And
Wow.
that's interesting. I think you can probably have David's, is what I think he's
They'd be worth a
he's a
bit.
4.5. I think he has to wear the snowshoes in the winter, lest he become submerged.
Sven-Goran Eriksson, I think he was a 5 or something.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Delicate.
Surprised he didn't topple over.
Oh, like an antelope. Still, it meant him and Ulrika could watch telly in bed. Nothing in the way. So, is it out, Alice, or should I continue with my own
yeah.
life?
I mean, we've had quite a lot of people echoing the sentiments of 848 who says, "Come on, Frank!" ! It's coming home. If I stand at the end of my drive, I can just about see it.
It does feel
However,
very
there is,
adjacent. What if we bought out of...
There is one angry Scot who disagrees.
No, that's fair enough. I absolutely accept that.
Are you sure?
But what about if we brought out a new version that comes out tomorrow morning that says it's adjacent, it's extremely adjacent, it's actually in the postcode, just to spoil it all.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I've got a quick question. Are we definitely going to win?
Well, I tell you, one of my least favourite things is football predictions. That's one thing. Score going to be, Frank? Have you mistaken me for the astrologer Russell Grant?
I know, but I did get it right.
What, you'd pick the score?
I texted Matt Ford. He said, how's it going to be? I said, I think it'll be tight. 2-1 England. I think I might have even said extra time.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
But what?
Get you, Nostradamus.
Yeah, exactly.
Nostradamus. Don't compare me to Nostradamus. He got everything wrong.
No, when he said
Hister.
a red sparrow will land on a brown gate, and people said, there you are, the Russian Revolution.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Did he say it was coming home, though? How would he have said it? He wouldn't have said it. Thing that I loved about Nostra
Yeah,
is that he made you work for it.
he did. He wouldn't say it's coming home. He'd say, I'll put the kettle on. And you just have to draw it from that Nostradamus, very understated. That was his thing. Where was he from? Was he French, Nostradamus?
Oh, I don't know. Al, do you know where Nostradamus
I
was
don't know
from?
that.
Anyone 8, 12, 15? Where was Nostradamus from? What's more important, where did he go? So, obviously I think we're going to win, but I'm trying to think what could spoil. Is there anything that could spoil it? other than losing. And I thought, if Gareth Southgate was identified as the fake sheikh who got Sam Allardyce the sack,
Oh, that would be a shame.
oh,
wouldn't
after
it?
we trusted him, he's sort of football manager closest in spirit to Greta Thunberg. And then suddenly we find out he's a sinister cat. Oh, that'd be awful.
Imagine the grainy black and white photos of him with a glass of wine. There's always a glass of wine in the hotel room.
Oh, no,
no.
with a sort of just under the sheikh clothes, just a hint of waistcoat. Awful.
Well, he's gone tie now. I like the tie.
He's gone tie, has he?
Well, he's got the blue lucky tie with the polka dot tie. Have you not spotted it?
I haven't
I'm a very
noticed a
similar tie to
regular.
that.
Yeah,
regular
he has the
thing.
ties as lucky tie. Ian Wright wears it now as well. I'm all
Okay.
across the clothing.
I find it a bit of a tie.
Oh.
Mm. Can I say that, my consolations to the Spice Girls, who announced their 25th anniversary this week. That was a very bad idea indeed. I'd have waited a bit and said, 25th and 10 days anniversary, so just nobody even noticed. Did you notice it?
Wow.
I didn't.
I mean, I tell you who's going to be thrilled about that, Atomic Kitten.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
Battle of the
Dave.
Girl Bands.
So I feel that it's like I found Atomic Kitten on waste ground and I just happened to have a couple of defibrillators with me and I've brought them back. I feel like Frankenstein. I've brought up the kitten. Here they are. Beautiful. When I say me, I mean us, of course.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, when I say us, I mean me.
Of course you do.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I also like this text message that we've just received from Lee in Stoke, who also goes by the numbers 165 at the end of his number. What's the most random thing people have said they'll do if England win tomorrow? My mate says he'll shave his eyebrows off. When I asked him why, he said, I'm bald and clean shaven. What else can I do?
It's true. He's running out of options. It's like me at Lent. Once you don't smoke, don't drink, don't do drugs, don't. Once that, in the end, you're giving up stuff like tea, and that's too much, isn't it?
That was a tough year for you, that Lent.
That was my worst ever Lent. What was your
Yeah, I
worst ever
remember
Lent? 12, 15. Oh, sorry, I thought it was on. I do a Catholic radio show on Thursdays. I got
There
mixed
have
up.
been so many, dear. We've had another supportive Scot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good.
This is from no one, this person's called.
Okay.
As a Scotsman,
He's wisely keeping anonymous if he's still living in Scotland.
as a Scotsman, I have no interest as to whether it's coming home or not, but
Right.
as I grew up watching Fantasy Football League, it's filled my heart with joy seeing Frank and David on TV together again. Now, I appreciate that's praise, but I think there are extenuating circumstances.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Do they still toss the caber in? Is that a thing that still happens in Scotland? I used to be
the Highland
fascinated
Games?
by that as a kid. You know, they run with
It
like
was
a big
actually
telegraph.
televised.
Was it? Must be hard to shoot. Hard to shoot in landscape. You want it in portrait, ready to get the full caber.
Is the caber
I can't
essentially a
believe I've made
tree?
this up.
It was sort of
Yeah.
the upside down pole vault.
Al, was it essentially, I'm going over to you as our Scottish correspondent, was it essentially a version of The World's Strongest Man, but just on a budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a
Yeah.
bit of that in it, but the
Okay.
caber, that's a great thing. It's that thing of letting it sit on your hands like that and just, oh man. I've done it with smaller things, but I'm very impressed by the caber guys. Caber guy! That is what Jim Carrey should have done. A film about the Highland Games in which they call him Caber Guy. Oh, when a joke is born. Ooh. Anyway, it was a warm-hearted family atmosphere at Wembley on Wednesday. If your family are enormous, sweary, drunken blokes in England shirts. I've got to say, I don't want to spoil the party now, but if I get out of this without COVID-19, it'll be an absolute miracle, because it is a world where it doesn't exist. You'd love it, Al. It's just there's no social distancing. I think me and Dave were the only people in masks, and they were mainly for disguise purposes. Oh. I think this could be the Delta variant's Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Oh no!
Oh, really? Oh man! So let's enjoy ourselves while we can tomorrow. It was really terrifying in some ways, but hey, like I say, I don't want to put a downer on it.
You must have been getting. How did it feel reforming the band, Frank, last night on the last leg?
It's always lovely. Every time I see Ian, which is once every 2 years, I always say, it's been really great hanging out with you. Let's keep in touch. We say, yeah. And then the next time I see him, it's another football tournament and we're doing 3 lines somewhere. So that's, I'm not very good at the friend thing. I like.
Are you still not?
I've tried for years, but
You have tried.
No, it's I don't know. I don't know how people do it, and thus I find.
He's the loneliest man in the world.
That's what they should have played over that shot of me and Dave. They should have put one of those circles over me when they identify the person, and then they should have played that. Even in a crowd, the caption should have said.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. You choose. We respond. That's how we do it. Emily was telling me earlier that she puts the oven on at home.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
To keep warm.
Well, you're making me sound like sort of Little Nell.
Is it electric or gas?
Oh, I think it's gas.
I think that's quite bad for you, isn't it? Is it terrible for the atmosphere? You're breathing in the North Sea. The North Sea's darker extracts.
Apologies to anyone who's offended and to Greta, but
also,
I'm just saying occasionally... I'm just saying I enjoy. I'm not encouraging others to do it.
Yeah.
Absolute Radio does not endorse turning on the oven.
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing.
But I'm just saying, Frank.
We can't do it because I put a pan in the oven, not realising there was a plastic tag on it where they'd hung it up in the shop. And there was this sudden terrible smell of melting 21st century in the house, and we've never really it dripped onto the floor of the oven, and we've never really got rid of it. So every time that oven goes on now, it's there's this like open the doors panic going on.
Hey,
my fault, my bad.
There's people that specialise in cleaning ovens that will come around and fix that.
I've heard of that.
An affordable fee, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I might look up oven cleaners.
Does your oven not clean itself, for goodness sake?
Well, the self-cleaning oven I thought went with matey. It cleans the bath as well. The old there's a children's bath thing that cleaned the bath as well, and then it turned out it contained bleach. That was how they did it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
But I think it's still available, but it don't clean the bath no more because the bleach is gone. So I don't want to do down, matey, if you want to get some. It's safe now.
Maybe that's what explains Phil Foden. He's been dunking his head into the old matey.
Oh, if he slept in the matey's chair. That's what they should do with Phil Foden. If he scores, they should fire matey into his mouth. Oh, man. No, mateys are on the far. If you've never heard of matey, I think it still exists, but it was a pirate-themed bath. What do they call it? A bath?
Bubble bath.
Yeah, sort of bubble bath. I don't know how heavy it was on the bubbles, but it got you and the bath clean. It's tremendous.
And there was a Mrs. Matey as well.
There was a Mrs. Matey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Respect to her.
And if you've never heard of the...
I wasn't trying to suggest that it was just like Captain Matey. I'm thinking of it as the Matey dynasty who brought it about. Yeah.
And if you've never heard of the dentist chair,
Yeah, you probably heard of the dentist chair, I think.
Not everyone has.
Okay, it was what some footballers from England got drunk in before the 1996 European Championships. Lovely idea, and a dangerous thing in a club where you lie. The dentist chair went fully back and people poured alcohol into your mouth. Sounds a bit risk of drowning.
There was like the shameful five, wasn't there?
But you know those things you see. Maybe you've done this. Either one of you might have done this. You know, you see people like on holiday, and they've got those sort of jugs of wine and a big, like a sort of I'm going to say a sort of wee comes out of it.
Yes.
And drink it. That looks dangerous.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me at the This Morning party with the vodka ice sculpture.
Oh, do. What was the sculpture of?
It was a man. Let's leave it like that.
Wow, on This Morning.
Yeah.
There's such a dark underbelly to This Morning.
Phil Schofield sculpture.
Do you find that?
You know.
If we discovered there is a TV show where they have a dungeon of torture and people are being held against their will, my money would be on This Morning every time.
It's funny you should say that, Frank. All I'll say, I was thrust underneath the Iceman.
Yeah. Don't call Philip that.
The Iceman come up. I was thrust underneath the Iceman, and the vodka came out of an area of him, and it went directly into my eyes.
Wow.
Oh.
I nearly had to go home. I was almost blinded. I was in tears in every respect.
But it would be the best blinding anecdote of all time. I'm sorry, I was blinded by the simulated vodka-based urine of the This Morning ice sculpture man. Oh, that happened to a friend of... No, it didn't.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Michael G. Clark has got in touch.
Did he used to do 15 to 1? What was he called?
No, I think he started Factory Records or something.
What was he called? William G. Stewart.
William G. Stewart.
Good shout.
What do we think about that?
William G.
Discuss. Well, no, the initial in the Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Kay Cochran.
I've never used the same. I've always been a fan, as you know, of the initial. The I think of two disparate characters, F. Scott Fitzgerald and H. Samuel. When I think of these, and there's something. You know, there's a writer called O. Henry, and it's almost like a quote. Oh, Henry.
I think people... So was it Harry S. Truman, was it?
Harry S. Truman, yeah.
Was that a real S? I think sometimes they insert it, the Americans, in order to sound posher than they are.
Well, they
like
do.
Like the third.
They do, yeah.
There's only 3 generations?
But we don't do junior over here, do we?
Oh, no, we don't.
Whereas the Americans love... who's your favourite junior?
Oh, it's got to be Robert Down.
Yeah. Neymar. Neymar, of course.
Neymar Jr., yeah.
I think
Frank Sinatra Jr.
Sammy Davis Jr. kind of he defined the the
he
genre.
Was a great junior in his own right. Normally, the junior has to be attached to the senior.
Yeah, I like it when you've only heard of the junior.
Well, Robert Downey Jr., there you go.
Oh, it's like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, you know. Favourite juniors, 8, 12, 15.
I wonder if we'll get any Huddersfield Town fans suggesting Junior Bent, who played for them for a while.
But see, that's a bit cheating, isn't it? If it's their name. Yeah.
Well, we don't.
They're inventive people.
Well, we don't cheat. It's gamesmanship. Also, Junior, who sang...
Game management is what they call it nowadays.
Yes,
I know.
Game management, I love.
You have to be careful how you say it.
Yeah, well, quite.
Yeah.
A junior who sung Mama Used to Say.
Oh, yeah. Mama used to say... Na-na-na. But he wasn't a junior, though.
No.
In the classic sense of the term.
Michael G. Clark will return to him.
Oh, yeah, Michael G. Clark. Yeah, sorry, one of the great digressions we'll know him as in future.
Yeah.
What I like is he just got in touch to say, I keep forgetting what a big hooey Frank is. Lovely chap.
Hooey? What does that mean?
Is that because you're into the Doctor Who?
Oh, is it spelled W-H? Oh, okay, yeah.
Can I just say, Michael G. Clark?
It's Whovian, isn't it?
I don't keep forgetting.
Yeah. I won't
I
let you.
never forget.
Yeah, that's a luxury we can't afford.
Greatest thing I've ever heard in my life, Cockerel.
I've never been that keen on the phrase Hoovian.
Are you a Hoover?
No.
Oh, what do you call yourselves, you people?
There's an element of someone who vacuums.
Oh,
Yeah, says he works as a Hoovian in a hotel.
You should like vacuum cleaners. You use them for most of the costumes. That's what they look like they've been made out of.
What? Take that back. Anyway, have we heard from the outside world? Because it's not about me. And relax.
Going to fool me this week. Al, what about... We had some lovely responses in to last week's show. I'm going to give you a little tease here.
Oh.
Let's just say liturgical chants.
Oh, you know what? I never thought we'd get a response to that. Well, I am all ears.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank, number one, it's coming home. Number two, we've had a tweet in from McT.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, go on.
He says Ray Parker Jr. of Ghostbusters theme fame.
Oh, yes, that's a good one. Who was Ray Parker Sr., I wonder?
That's very good.
Strangest lyric in Ghostbusters. I'm afraid of no ghosts. Fine. I can work with that.
Mm-hmm.
I hear he likes the girls.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No.
I don't want
don't
no
know.
creepy ghost.
What about lyrics in Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline? And when I hurt, hurting runs off my shoulders.
Right. It makes me think of showering.
Yeah, is that what he's thinking of? And when I shower, showering runs off my shoulders. And then his agent has said, I'd make it a bit more poignant than showering. People don't. What do you think?
We're running a text in today. One of our more obscure, I think, is who's your favourite junior?
Yes.
And 996 has nailed it for me with Junior Disprin.
Oh, God. I think there was a junior asprin as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, I like
they
it.
were not quite nice, actually. Dangerously tasty, because they get a bit of... Yeah, they had like an orangey flavour. Just what you want to do when you're leaving tablets around the house for children.
I like quite nice. That's how Elvis started. These are quite nice.
They were, without doubt, the nicest. I mean, Calpol as well, lovely.
You've been getting strung out on Junior Disprin.
Oh, is that going to be where I go now? Yeah, because after England won the Euros, he started eating the Calpol and became very nommed to life.
Dave C. has been in touch. Dave of York.
Dave C. Who do we think that is? Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's obvious now. I think about it. Carry on.
You see, I went Chappelle. Google it.
Oh, yeah, good.
He's pointed out we have the younger rather than junior, like Pitt the younger.
Oh,
That is
excellent.
good. That is good.
Great, Dave.
I mean, I would have liked Sammy Davis, the younger. that would.
Or what about Frank Robert Downey the younger?
But I don't think you can tap dance if you're called the younger, can you? It's too formal.
Right.
Did they did say Pitt the elder, didn't they? So there's Pitt the elder, and Pitt the younger. Oh, it's great,
Yeah.
that. Yes, I think we did well there. But still like a junior.
And Dan Bauer has pointed out that George Bush Sr. was called that, but then George W. Bush was never George Bush Jr., so it's almost as if, George Bush Sr., he set it up for you.
Yeah, and then
And you
he
rejected
said,
it.
and he went, "No, I want the initial sandwich. I'm going to go for that one."
He's mixed it all up.
I set you up for junior. No, but I want the initial sandwich thing. I don't care what you... Don't tell me what to do. You're always telling me what to do. That's Home with the Bushes. there. You're on Absolute Radio. I'm going to make this one of the leading drama stations on radio.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Cuba Gooding.
Cuba Gooding.
Oh, Cuba Gooding Jr.
How did we possibly miss that? Yeah.
And Cuba
good
Gooding the
time.
Elder, I believe. As
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It just made
interesting.
me wonder if in the UK we go with the younger. I wonder if Paul Young has children that could be called Paul Young the Younger.
Young, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be good.
Or
wouldn't it?
Barb Younger. Do you remember her? From she's a sort of comedian from the 80s.
We've just got two more to
She
add.
was in a double act called, I think, Parker and Younger, or Younger and Parker. Parker and Younger doesn't sound so good. Anyway,
We've got a couple more just to add to the list. David Williams has thrown in Donald Trump Jr. And
yeah, I forgot about him as well.
Wow, haven't we all? And then Nate H has.
I've not.
Well, David did add. I'm sure he'd have Owl's vote. Nate H has added Harry Connick.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah.
HCJ.
What I would like is a TV documentary series that interviewed the seniors that we don't know and find out what they're like and what they've done with their lives. Wouldn't that be a great idea for a TV
That's
show?
a good idea.
It
Almost
could
as
be
good as an
called
idea as,
Junior's Dad.
Oh, that is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of your recent textings was, "Do you do liturgical chants?" Can you
It was,
explain?
well, it
what
was. It
you
was.
meant
Have you
by
ever
that?
converted a commonplace saying to a liturgical chant? It came from. I got
Very
a dog
niche.
recently, and someone said to me, he was jumping up them in the park, and they said, "Oh, he can smell our dog on me." And I remember the neighbour, who I seem to be speaking about a lot lately, come round, and whenever our dog went absolutely mental, if anyone came to the house, and he jumped all over her, and she always said he can smell our dog on me, although he would do it if someone who'd come, who'd been brought up under some stairs in a cupboard, arrived, he would still have done it. And I converted it into a liturgical chant, which was, "He can smell our dog on me." And I sang that a lot, and I just wondered if anyone else had converted commonplace sayings to a liturgical chant. It was a shot in the dark, but on
Well-
this show, there's always a chance someone out there has done whatever you ask.
It's borne some fruit.
Oh, lovely.
I mean, it didn't light up the switchboard, but it has borne some fruit.
Shade thrown.
Dear Frank, Emily, and Alan, as children, we did much chanting. There was "We want window winder" used on long journeys to request at great length the single window winder.
I wish I knew
in
what the
Mum's
tune
old
was.
Volvo.
Do we know what the tune was, then?
No. In Mum's old
Well, we can
Volvo
give it
that
a
was
go.
kept in the glove box. I just like the idea that a car had one window winder that would then be passed around.
I like the
and used for
alliteration
each.
of "We want window winder."
It's very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another was steak and kidney, which was accompanied by a complicated hand slapping game.
Lovely.
Hours of fun. And then Jake praises the show, which I won't read.
No.
No.
I mean, thank you, Jake, but, I think one has to have a certain decorum in these matters.
Yeah.
In case you're new to the show, I wince every time I hear someone on another channel. They don't do it on Absolute say, "Yeah, I got a call in from Dave, said I absolutely love your show, you're fantastic." I think, yeah, keep that, just keep it on in your head. That's a nice thing, but once you've said it, it's a nasty thing. Oh, God.
We've had. I'd just like to throw a brief W into the George Bush section of last week's show. The brief W interruption is Steve Burgess, who said in response to the broken Fez, hire a private investigator.
That, you know what, that's good.
I don't mind it.
I should say we use affairs to mark the time on the show. It's a long story.
I know.
And someone broke it and hid it, and then we found it all broken.
I've moved on now. I wish go with peace and love.
Yeah.
I'm too happy to let that Fez criminal
I
upset me.
personally never let happiness get in the way of malice. little motto for you all there.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I'm going to do what I believe they call a shout out. The young people. To Carl, and Carl is the manager. He was the manager. He was the manager of Feltham Sports Direct. Sports Direct, is that the Muhammad Ali carrier bag? Is that Sports Direct or is that the other one? That's that one, yeah. And matching luggage now, I think, for a great many people. But our producer Sarah went in there to try and get some decorations for the studio, England flags and all that sort of stuff. And Carl just gave us a bunch of stuff, and it looks great in here. So thank you, Carl from Feltham.
Thank you, Carl.
And I didn't do a Feltham joke. I think we should all maybe have a moment just to celebrate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mature.
Yes, and I'm growing.
Well, that's
We've been
fortunately we haven't
discussing,
mentioned Oldham or Peckham.
No, none of that.
We've been discussing people called junior and senior, and of course the UK variant of younger, the younger.
There was, I'm just thinking, there was the George Foreman approach where he had about 8 kids and he called all the sons George.
Yeah.
And I think there was a Georgette as well and a Georgina amongst the daughters. I mean, it's lovely to just get it done. Then you don't have to keep thinking about it every time. But I don't know
people that wear the same outfit all the time. Just there's no need. They don't need to use up any of their bandwidth.
The Steve Jobs approach. Always wear the black polo neck.
Yeah. Or of course the classic Doctor Who's. More or less the same clothes every week. Even the assistants.
Yeah.
Just wore the same clothes. Must have stunk. The TARDIS must have stunk.
Well, that's not even talking about the smoke. Natasha Warburton has actually got in touch, re that very point. I'm not sure about Junior, but my favourite child of a star's name is Her Majesty.
Oh,
Jermaine Jackson's son,
that is
who
brilliant.
also does have a sibling called Jermaine Jr.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
JJ. I bet he's called JJ.
Oh, Bruce Forsyth had a son called JJ, I believe. I only know that because I remember seeing a picture of him in Hello wearing a baby grow tux. And it was one of the first I'd ever seen. Respect.
I'd like one of those for if corporates come back.
Yeah.
I did a sketch with Bruce Forsyth in which I was a receptionist. And I also played a young woman in it who phoned in and said, "Hello, I'd like to speak to my uncle Bruce." No, she came in and said, I want to see my Uncle Bruce. And I phoned up Bruce Forsyth, and it cuts to him, and he goes, "Yes." And I say, "Nice to see you, niece." Oh, some of my best work.
Like that.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 01215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Hannah, Dan and Joseph, who have a sideline of doing rock band, I think it's mainly rock band themed coasters,
Oh, yeah.
have sent me some Alice Cooper coasters. You know, my son Buzz is a massive, what do they call them, Cooperites. There's probably some recuperator or something of that nature.
Cooperian?
Yeah. Pun?
Cooperian.
Cooperian would be good, yeah. Anyway, thanks for the coasters. You can't have enough coasters, that's my motto.
Well, I know you love a coaster.
Oh, man.
It's one of your unusual mottos, actually.
It is, but it does fit. I have done that thing. I've literally slid in a coaster into space as a visitor's cup goes down towards the wooden tabletop.
You are very hot on the coaster.
I ate a ring on a wooden table.
I like a ring.
See, it reminds me of the mark of the Mysterons in Captain Scarlet, which was a slightly blurry ring.
Oh, yes, me too. What on earth?
Yeah, it reminds everyone of that.
Yeah.
I like...
This is the voice of the Mysterons. Do you not remember that? Very
Absolutely
good.
not.
Okay.
I like the ring on the table, Because, yeah. Because it reminds me of the sort of posh person's old country farmhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Just put your cup down there, yeah, with all the horse tackle. It's fine, and all the dog biscuits.
I can't do it. I can't actually put... I've been in places where there's been absolutely dilapidated tables, and I still haven't... I'll take a bit of paper out my pocket or something and put it under. I just can't. I cannot put a hot cup on a wooden table.
Okay.
I can't do it, I tell you.
A makeshift coaster.
Yeah, I just come... I'll use, something like, like a mass leaflet.
Okay.
Okay.
Of course.
What else has been happening this week?
Well, first of all, it turns out that this initials and junior-senior thing has got an enormous golf pedigree, which I'd like to bring to your attention. 207 has texted, Hale S. Irwin, brackets American golfer, has no middle name. The S was added on the advice of Hale's dad, who told him that golf was a rich man's game and he'd need a middle initial if he wanted to get on.
Well, you see,
I just thought that was interesting.
I'm sure I've heard
to your attention.
I've heard Hale Irwin said a lot of times without the S. Has he always had the S, or was that a late addition?
I don't know.
Well, there's a question for you. We had a good one actually, which was Lon Chaney Jr.
Yes, we did. Someone sent in Lon Chaney Jr. And as he said, which made me love him even more, I will find his name soon, a bit of a current one for you.
Yeah, but
what was the deal with that?
I'll tell you what's good about that. It's one of the rare examples where I know the father as well. Lon Chaney was the original Man of 1,000 Faces. He was did a lot of horror films.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of silent stuff and that.
Yes.
And his son, Lon Chaney Jr., I think they're different people, was in the popular TV series Hawkeye, played Chingachgook, the Native American.
Right.
So I think that's an example, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong.
Something a bit problematic.
I think it's all right. And there's no, actually, looking back,
when acting was allowed.
Looking back on when we first met.
Looking back, I wish I'd brought it up.
Looking back on when we first met,
Damn.
it was highly problematic.
Damn, Lon Chaney Jr. and his
cancelable content.
Yeah, exactly. I hate him now. I wish that canoe had a hole in it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Here's a story that may remind you of a parable called The Emperor's New Clothes. I think that's a parable, isn't it?
Well, it's a story.
The BBC, is it not?
Well,
Is it just a story?
It's a fairy story, I think, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I stand corrected.
I don't know. I'll
The
text
BBC
Aesop. He knows.
Go on.
According to what I like to call the Bloids, the tabloids,
Oh, yeah.
the BBC have splashed out tens of thousands of pounds on a new logo that looks exactly the same as the old logo.
Well, a bit smaller, isn't it?
Tiny bit different.
I mean, maybe they don't know you can do that thing. You know that thing on your phone where if you just squeeze the thing a bit, it gets a bit smaller.
Kerning, I believe it's
Zoom
called.
out.
But
It's
Zoom
a
in, zoom
tweetment.
out.
It's a tweetment. I'm okay with a tweetment.
is it me? Or was there a story? Was there a story several years ago about the BBC changing their logo for tens of thousands of pounds and it being a waste of licence payers' money?
Well, I'm glad you've brought that up, actually, Frank, because I have a theory about logos, and that is that they only ever really get in the news for being ridiculously expensive and or unclear. That sometimes they're sort of weird hieroglyphics that nobody can read, and they've cost £3.5 million. I think logos might be a rip-off. There you go, I've said it.
Okay.
I'm afraid I disagree.
I think news, if you want a hot news logo, it's got to be the 2012 Olympics. That was... that was the logo that broke the internet, wasn't it?
Well, I'm going to say, Al, I respect you. I have great love and affection for you as a colleague and friend.
Well, I don't know about you, Al, but this feels like somebody just focusing their telescopic sights.
And he's in range. However, there was always going to be a however.
Yeah.
I love a logo. I think the logo is crucial to the brand identity. Now, the reason for this, I think this might be to do with my fashion history. And the reinvented logo is a thing. Every house reinvents their logo periodically. They have to.
Why do they have to?
Because your audience, your market changes. 22-year-old ain't going to like what your 42-year-old likes, okay? Louis Vuitton had to be judged. They have to be judged up. That's a term that
I know,
people
but,
use.
my motto is, juge ye not, for as ye judge, so shall ye be judged.
For example, 70s fonts, this sort of sherbet dib dab, big lettering, it's not going to work in today's culture.
Can I wonder if this is relevant. In football, I'd say in the 90s, they started, football clubs who'd had the same badge for years, suddenly a slightly modified, more streamlined version. Like at West Brom, we got a sort of slightly neater, more modern. And I thought, they're trying to modernise. But really, what the truth was that, and for several clubs, nobody really knew who owned the rights to that badge, and they didn't like that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, there could have been an element of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Just regularised. Can I ask you a question as well? I've probably mentioned this before because it's a slight thing of mine, but the FedEx logo, is the white arrow between the E and the X, is it deliberate or accidental? If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you Google the FedEx logo, you will see there's a white arrow in the middle of it. And that's a good thing for a sort of express delivery company. But I've never been quite sure whether it was planned or whether it just happened that way.
I like that. And also, may I suggest you check out the original Apple logo, which I believe was a sort of black and white Hogarth-style etching of Isaac Newton underneath a tree.
No.
Yes, I remember there was like a weird... I mean, they couldn't have rolled that out on every phone. It was so complicated.
I did not know that.
I promise that's what it was. They had to give that a rethink. Then it went black apple. No one wants a black apple. It's gone.
No,
That's true.
Okay.
I've always thought the apple with the bite is a symbol of temptation to sin and evil, and it's a sort of hiding in plain. It's Apple saying we are a dangerous temptation that will destroy your innocence. But you won't notice. We won't notice we're saying that in the logo. It's an Adam and Eve thing.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a defensive text from 266 who says, in defence of logo designers, brackets, I am one,
Yeah, I knew
the
this would happen.
the BBC logo amend will actually save them a fortune, as they'll not be paying font licence fees. I did the same for a large household brand that had a very expensive rebrand. I changed the font and did a little tweak, saved £800,000 in years of fees they didn't realise they'd be paying. Clever.
Well, it's clever unless you live on your font rights.
Yeah.
Then it seems to me you're being squeezed out of the market.
You see, it depends how much you value a font. I value it very highly.
Well, I own Comic Sans. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, you've never
don't.
mentioned.
Yeah, well, so, since TFI Friday, it's been pretty slim pickings.
I mean, you do realise it means comic without.
Oh, I thought it was
doesn't mind that.
SAND. I thought it was a D.
No, it's an SANS. Comic without. Do you know?
We've all had those nights out when we felt a bit Comic Sans. Oh, man.
Well, I've had those periods in my love life when I've been a bit
God.
Comic Sans. Can I say?
You've been a Vec comic
I've
as
also
well.
been a Vec comic.
Yeah,
I've been a Vec them all.
Yeah.
I've had a few. Too cute to mention.
Yeah? I'll go on mention. No,
Now
don't. Better not.
then. Be patient, my friend. I tell you, Comic Sans, the most unpopular font, officially, I believe, was
Is it
voted.
really?
The other one, I think the second most unpopular is Brush Script. Are you familiar with that one? It's like the thick paintbrush.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want that on our fonts.
What about that which we used to call Robin Hood writing? I don't think that's the official name of that font. But I remember, it's on the front of the book, it's like in Robin Hood writing. Yeah, I wish someone had copyrighted that.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I'd like us to return just to the topic of football. Just briefly, I don't know if you know that Declan Rice became an uncle whilst playing for England.
Oh,
the other
yes.
day.
Yes.
Which I think must have posed an incredible dilemma for the father of said child. I think his brother it was that became a dad. The idea that he had to sort of be supportive to the mum of child and also England were on the football.
Well, not only was England playing in the Euro semi-final is one thing, but your brothers played for them.
I know.
Do you think they had TV in room?
Giving it a sort of a split screen vibe, where he's at one point looking at his wife.
Imagine broaching that arrangement with the wife.
It actually makes me feel a bit
I thought when I saw this, Frank and Alan, because obviously I forgot to have children, and I realised it is one of the most fulfilling experiences apparently you can have in life. But then, have you ever been asked out on a date by Shaquille O'Neal? I'm just saying.
Good point.
I haven't.
Have you not?
No.
Maybe
Frank, you have experience of this. Alan, you have experience of this.
Mm-hmm.
What would Kath, for example, have made of it if she'd have gone into labour, let's say, on that day, and she'd have said, Frank, it's coming home, but not in the way you think.
Uh-huh.
Would that have presented you with a slight moral dilemma?
Well, there used to be a thing, didn't there, about footballers used to go home, leave the squad if their wife was having a baby, wife or partner was having a baby.
Yeah.
And I always used to think, I wouldn't pick them again. Maybe that's a bit harsh. But, the baby's going to be there for ages. But European.
Who was that bloke? And also
the
blokes,
goal-scoring opportunities are brief.
Exactly.
and blokes getting the announcement at the match as well.
But blokes,
you had experience of that.
Yeah,
didn't you?
but blokes. Oh, there was. Yeah. Well, that was one of the. This is a story after, but it is classic. Is that at West Brom we just lost 2-0 to Notts Forest. Goals scored by Stan Collymore. I was talking to the other night, and as we all left, it came over the thing. Mr. David, your wife has just given birth to a baby boy in Sandwell District Hospital. A big cheer went up. And the old bloke said to me, he said, "The poor devil, he had to sit through this. Now he's got to go home and make his own dinner." There were different times.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I once upset a man playing didgeridoo in Edinburgh.
Sounds like the beginning to a Coleridge
He was
poem.
sitting on the street playing didgeridoo, and I said, "Can you do All By Myself by Eric Cartman?" And he just got really...
Oh, no.
Imagine that. It's a great song. Eric Cartman Jr.
Oh, yeah.
made that up.
Can I just say I've had quite a productive week with England squad members' names lending themselves to humour. So when Declan Rice got substituted, they gave some stat about how many kilometres he'd ran during the course of the game. And I said to my wife and son, Rice does get everywhere. Which I was quite pleased
very
with.
fine. Of course, I am reminded of the Chinese takeaway in Boreham Wood in London, which is called Lots of Rice.
Well, he might go celebrate.
I think that's not why we're here. No, you're pushing the wrong element.
Another moment whilst watching the football with wife and son, I said, "Look how fast that defender runs." My wife said, "Who's that?" I said, "Ironically, that's Kyle Walker."
Oh, you were absolutely... This boy's got to get back out there again.
Is his name like the opposite of nominative determinism? He's one of the fastest footballers I've ever seen.
Well,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
confusingly is he used to
He
play
really
for Tottenham, and then Tottenham got a player called Kyle Walker-Peters, and I thought, what are they just going to keep? They're just going to keep adding on. They sold
That's
him.
awful when that happens.
They sold him, and then they'll get another Stuyvesant, Kyle Walker-Peters Stuyvesant.
Yeah.
And so it'll go until they got someone with about 9 hyphens. That'd be ridiculous.
What about, there was an Italian I encountered this week. I was doing a radio interview and the football came up, and this Italian man, I really liked him because he said quite, without any shade being thrown at all. I genuinely think he just meant this in a caring, concerned way. Am I allowed to do an Italian accent?
Yeah.
How do we feel?
Well,
Do
let's
we
ask
wanna
the
wear that?
producer. She looks
Okay.
edgy about it.
I think he'd be fine. If I get his permission afterwards, any problems, we'll
What
delete
about
it
Joe?
from
Do
the
we
podcast.
play Joe Dolce, don't we, on
Yeah.
Planet Rock?
Oh, shut up in your face. Let me tell you what he said. He said, 55 years. It's not normal. This
Wow.
is not normal. What happened? He said it's not normal to not win anything.
No,
55 years.
I can see why. Yeah, the thing is, we gave football to the world, and then they got better at it. That was the.
It's
That
been
was-
very much the British normal, I think.
It has,
I
yeah.
know.
But I still haven't really forgiven the Italians for abandoning us in the 5th century. You know what I mean? When the barbarians were at the gate, and they just had to go off to their own
Oh,
stuff.
but let's move on from the barbarians.
Niche references.
Just for the weekend.
Last week it was the Danes and their invasion of Lindisfarne in the 9th century. Anyway,
Fine. It's that time.
thank you so much for listening this morning. Of course, England are playing in the European Championship final on Sunday. And that, you know what? I've watched so many. I've been at European finals. I've been at World Cup finals. And there's always that thing, well, who do we want to win? Who do I want to win? Who am I backing? How nice not to have to worry about that. Oh, man. You're not making me play this. I can't believe it.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.